Hey, welcome back to this mini lecture on facial recognition. My name is Dino. What is the definition of facial recognition? It is software that identifies and confirms a person's identity using their face. What's the rationale? Why do we have it? So to sort of expand on the previous definition, facial recognition is a method of biometric identification using body measures, specifically the face and head, to verify the identity of a person through facial biometric pattern and data. It collects unique biometric data associated with a person's face or facial expression for identification, verification, and or authentication. So, again, there's certain situations you want to identify someone, verify who they are, authenticate, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. As a result, facial recognition potentially makes security more easily to do. There's a four-part process in facial recognition. Detection, analysis, conversion, and matching. First, detection. The camera locates the face of the subject to detect it. Then the software, it analyzes, it reads the facial geometry, like the distance between eyes, landmarks like your cheekbones, nose, eyes, chin. There's conversion. This is where it transforms the analog to any digital data. And then finally, matching. It compares your image to a database. So it helps to recognize it based on a previous image. There are various use cases of facial recognition where, again, facial recognition is used for many different purposes. It can help for fraud detection, to identify and verify users, to prevent fraud. In terms of security, instead of having a password or two-factor authentication, you can unlock your phone with your face. I know many people with an iPhone do that. For borders and passport security, biometric measures can be used as passports, so it creates technically like an e-passport, an electronic passport. For banking, you can authenticate transactions by phone, so while you're doing your banking, you can your phone can take a facial recognition picture of your face and compare it against the database. And for health, a person who's working healthcare, they can access patient records based on their face. Positives of facial recognition. There's positives and negatives. The positives first. It can allow mass identification. So you do not require the cooperation of test subjects to work. So you can identify people, like say in a crowd, which is both good and bad. We'll talk about that in a second. Some of the negatives, there's false acceptance or rejection. Sometimes it can accept someone or reject someone for facial recognition, and as a result, because of the percentages of times those happen, which is higher than it should be, facial recognition can be ineffective. Facial expressions can cause problems. They should be neutral, like I know in Canada for passports, you're supposed to have a neutral face, like you're not smiling. So if you have a weird facial expression, it can cause problems with identification and ineffectiveness. For example, they tried to use this facial recognition in a UK borough, and they're unable to identify criminals within this UK borough, although they had criminals and they had their pictures on file. Somehow there are still problems connecting the two. Some general challenges for facial recognition, based on the previous slide, accuracy. Depending on the lighting, if you compare like a really bright picture to a dark picture, that can be really difficult. Or if you have facial coverings like a beard or you're wearing a mask, like in our COVID era. Security, if the database with the images gets loose or is hacked, you can exploit images for identity theft. Ethics, if you're using it for, say, to identify someone in a crowd during like a protest that goes awry, someone can be wrongfully imprisoned based on a false facial recognition like database or image. And the deployment is also a general challenge. The cost of doing facial recognition, the development of making it better, and addressing various challenges. So like, again, criminal exploitation, so if you're worried about your database being corrupted or hacked, that can cause money, criminal exploitation, and other problems. Privacy is a huge challenge for facial recognition. Say for personal data, you can unearth personal data through facial recognition. So if you have a database of photos, you can connect them to social media profiles, blog posts, and other images. Avoidability is definitely an issue. It is difficult to avoid facial recognition if you're in like a major city and you have CCTV cameras, and you're walking around. Unless you're covering your face, you have a beard, etc. It's really difficult to avoid. And then consent. If data is collected on your face and is sold to a data broker or used by government, etc., you do not know what these images are being used for. So that's really problematic. That was facial recognition. My name is Dino. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to subscribe. Please feel free to like the video. Please feel free to leave a comment. What do you think of facial recognition? Is it good or is it bad? Should we have laws to protect people? Should there be limits to how databases of images can be used? What type of security measures companies and governments have to ensure that facial recognition is deployed correctly? As always, thanks for watching. Take care.